Hey guys, welcome to the channel. I hope you enjoy this Manhwa Recap. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks. We are taken to a luxury hotel club inside of the city called Burning Suspension. There's one room inside of this club that is only for special VIP members and costs almost 2 million gold per hour. But inside is an extravagant party that's being held. Now, people involved with this party are none other than the 7 members of the Teenage Governing Committee, as we see Bozo 1 making a champagne tower. We see him splurge with an expensive bottle of wine and lets his little homies drink whatever was spilled on the table. The blonde boy sits back down, lamenting on how it doesn't matter how much he spends, his money never disappears. And that's all thanks to the Baskervilles. These entitled sons of noble families get to live lives of luxury. They take part in the slave trade and are currently hunting some barbarians. They mock the Baskerville family since they are too spread thin expanding the border to notice their crimes. And to rub salt on the wound, the Baskervilles are practically protecting them. The blonde boy laughs at these sword-obsessed morons and bring up the incident of Messi Medrano. Apparently, this committee framed a loyal clan of Baskerville and had them murdered. This clan was trying to stop their corruption, but this was their fate. They continue eating their lavish dinner, talking about an appointment they have with the deputy consul. They know nothing of Viir and assume he will just be another pushover and easily bribed. The blonde guy has an idea to prank the little 15-year-old to assert dominance, and this is by far the worst idea of the story so far. Let's see how it pans out. Their plan is to throw a huge party and make Viir pay the bill. The group laughs and agrees, and all of a sudden a butler waltz in bringing some baddies to the party. Viir slips in behind them, confusing the group, and they assume someone ordered a male escort. The butler tries to grab him by the hair, but his wrist is broken instantly, causing him to scream in agony. Viir introduces himself formally to the group, and it finally clicks. They ask what he's doing here so soon, but Viir only came because they requested him. The bozos start getting close, trying to iron out a plan on the spot, and the objective is still the same. Viir doesn't like them chit-chatting like this and slaps his hand down on the table, and after applying some mana, he causes the champagne tower to explode. Blondie is shocked that Viir was actually able to do this using mana resonance, and gets the shocking realization that Viir graduated the academy. He looks towards his friends, who is a mid-rank sword expert, asking him to do something, but even that man knows he's outclassed. Viir strolls up and grabs one of the boys on the shoulder, and in the man's panic, he promises to pay for the alcohol. Viir replies saying, "Of course you have to pay for the wine that you drank. Don't tell me you were planning on having me pay for it." Viir snuffs out this plan and the group desperately tries to get a different answer. They try to save the conversation by saying that it was all a test. Underdog has fallen recently and they wanted to make sure that the new deputy couldn't be swayed by these type of things. Viir, however, doesn't like this answer and he punches one of the men in the gut, letting the group know that they have it all wrong. Only the master can test his dogs, not the other way around. Viir grabs the wound he just inflicted on this man and squeezing it harder, causing him to reel in pain. Viir tells these spoiled brats that the only reason they act this way is because they never seen true terror. Viir throws the boy on the ground, asking Blondie if he knows why he ended up this way. The boy tries to come up with an answer, but Viir just curb stops the man under his feet, telling the blonde guy that he's next. Now the group becomes enraged, ready to fight back, but Viir just smiles. He's not stupid and knows all of the illegal activities that this so-called committee has been up to. Kidnapping, slave trafficking, conspiring against the Baskervilles. It seems you boys have done a lot. Viir continues his onslaught on the group, telling them that it's time to teach them a lesson. He'll punish these filthy animals who fear nothing. Some time passes and Viir and Chihuahua are now looking at the committee members, all beaten and locked up. Blondie curses Viir, vowing to get him back once he's out of his cell. Chihuahua is a little worried that Viir may have took this a little too far, but Viir doesn't share that same opinion, and his torture of these boys has only just begun. These same people were meant to prevent corruption, not spread it, and even now they are cursing and aiming their blades towards Baskerville. The proof is in how angry they look. They really believe that they can stand up to the main family. They really haven't learned their lesson yet. With the sun sets, they will all be executed, and while he's at it, Viir will exterminate everyone related to them. Reality sinks in for the boys as they desperately cling to life. Chihuahua asks Viir what he thinks will happen with the families. Surely they won't sit idly by while their sons are murdered. Viir isn't worried about that, and the clans won't be able to do much anyways, once the connections these boys have to the underground is revealed. Chihuahua is concerned on the type of evidence that Viir has, and the boy just tells him not to worry about that for now. Even if he can't find any, he can always fabricate some. Doesn't matter to Viir anyways, because soon he will leave this place and be deployed to battle. He tells the boys in the cage what their crimes are, and Blondie quickly begs for his life, saying he'll accept any punishment. Viir ponders for a moment, but a man comes downstairs saying that he's prepared everything the young master requested. Viir is happy that what he asked for finally arrived, and he empties out a bag full of torture equipment. The man says he's been torturing for 30 years and haven't seen some of the goodies that he's brought. Viir is happy with everything and offers to teach the man some new tricks, but it seems even 30 years of torture won't prepare him to see this, so he happily declines. Viir lays out the tools, feeling a sense of nostalgia since he used these many times in his past life to extract secrets from his enemies. Viir rolls up his sleeves, asking the boys about their resolve. It's fine with him if they don't say anything. He wants to really enjoy this. Thank God we don't see what he actually did to them, but over time, the news of the 7 trash nobles living in luxury were arrested together started spreading. The citizens seem to have a real disdain for these men, and they're actually quite happy that they're getting what they deserve. But they think at the end of the day, because of their bloodline, they will only get a slap on the wrist. No way the deputy can execute them. Some people begin to argue because the new deputy gave away 10 billion just because of his word. And if he's the same type of man, then maybe he can make a change. But even they know that the politics involved is complicated. And just as they predicted, the 7 families sent gifts as apologies to the deputy consul, and decided to yield to him and ask for forgiveness. Viir opens up the briefcases filled with gold, and everyone thought that with this, those idiotic boys would roam free again. But Viir isn't blinded by money. He ended up executing all 7 of those boys and put their heads on display in the city square, and even went as far to preserve the flesh so it would last longer. A standard hung above them stating the crimes that these men committed and the punishment associated with them. Viir overlooks the square and smiles. People should know by now that he doesn't mess around when it comes to the law. Not even nobles are safe. And now he thinks he will bring upon change to the city. Technically, now he has declared war on the underground. He tells Chihuahua to be prepared for what's next because he's involved in this new plan. We time skip to the plan in question, and Chihuahua is dressed for some sort of high-end party, with Viir locked in a cage. He's concerned if this plan will really work, but Viir tells him to have some faith. The event these two are at is an underground slave auction, and Viir is being taken away inside of a cage. Chihuahua still can't believe that Viir disguised himself as a slave. High-end members of society and criminal elites start filling the tent wearing extravagant costumes, and this slave auction was naturally not reported to the main family. And barbarians, nobles, and commoners are all being sold like products. The host for the evening shouts for everyone's attention, thanking them for attending the circus. Chihuahua comes first and prepares a fake signature from the Mont Blanc family, authorizing him to sell. The clown is happy with this since the Mont Blancs are amazing customers and have done a lot of business in the past. He only wanted to ask some questions to see if Chihuahua was dissatisfied with the slaves that he's bought in the past. But Chihuahua lies through his teeth saying that everything was splendid. The clown man inspects the slave that is Viir and notices his black hair and red eyes. This is a rare specimen indeed. It will surely sell for a good price. They finalize the deal and the clown wishes Chihuahua an amazing time at the circus. Now, the main event begins and everyone takes their seats, ready for the slaves to be auctioned. The first item for today is an embezzled corpse hunted by the Baskervilles, a risk rating A hell buffalo. This beast has high quality materials that can be extracted from it, and the bidding starts at 100 million gold. The bidding war starts and it's sold for 250 million. Next on the list is a slave girl, and she is sold for 60 million. And the next item on the auction is a rare species, a female barbarian captured from the mountain. But don't blame us if she kills you. Introducing a Balic barbarian. The clown is confused on why they're even trying to sell this thing, and barbarians are hardly ever obedient, but starts the bidding at 5 million. No one answers after a while, and he tries to sell it for 3 and then 1. But no one seems to be interested, so they're forced to sedate her by punching her in the stomach and take her back to the cage. The clown apologizes for this inconvenience and wants to make up for it because now they will auction their most prized possession, which happens to be Viir. He strolls up with his long black hair and built physique and red eyes, and the crowd falls in love. The clown is confident in the quality of this product, and the bidding starts at a whopping 600 million. The crowd starts an uproar and everyone wants this slave. It goes to 1 billion before one man quiets everybody down with his bid of 6 billion. Everyone is shocked by Baron Gambino's insane bid. But Viir knows who this man is and has heard he has access to underground funds, and his influence has been spreading. His attendant is worried about spending this much, but the Baron reassures her that if they were to sell this slave at the capital, they will be sure to turn a profit. The attendant continues that for this to be true, the slave's body must be maintained, hinting at the Baron's sexual nature. The Baron has had enough of this from Cindy Windy, and that's literally her name, I'm just going to call her Cindy. He took her in when she had nowhere to go, so don't you dare raise your voice now. The girl quiets down, and the Baron wins with his price, and Viir is escorted to him. The Baron is even happier seeing him up close, and tells Viir that he's not a bad person, and he has already thought of all the ways he would like to play with him, and is looking forward to it. Pause. This man is literally salivating. This is disgusting. Viir raises his hand, and the Baron assumes he's asking to release the cuffs. But playing stupid is now over for Viir, and he tells the Baron that he doesn't need to do that, and breaks the chains himself. Cindy is shocked, and Viir sends the Baron flying into the air. He grabs the man, telling him that they're about to play one of his favorite games, Spear and Shield. He is a spear, and the Baron is the shield. If he can survive his strikes, then he wins. The Baron starts crying, asking Cindy to get the guards, but she just stands there watching the man being murdered. Viir whoops his ass until he faints, and takes out his hair extensions. Cindy is shocked and noticed that he is actually the deputy consul. The jig is up. The entire crowd realizes that a hound of Baskerville is here among them, and Viir just smiles, wondering if he killed the Baron with those weak hits. Viir speaks to the crowd. Circus, huh? What a fitting name. He tells them that none of them should expect to leave here tonight unharmed. The clown man sweats nervously, but sends his goon in to kill. They jump on him, but it's time for Beelzebub to feast, as Viir extends him from his arm. He slashes them down in a split second, and the clown man is taken aback by his aura. The biggest lackey he has tries to swing his weapon at Viir, but he uses an aura blade to cut through the weapon and the lackey. Reality sets in for the clown that Viir is a graduator, and there's no way he should be at this level so young. The clown knows he stands no chance and tries to figure out a way that he can survive, but he spots Chihuahua. The clown takes him hostage and calls out to Viir, who is currently slaughtering his guards, and tells him to drop his weapon, or the old man dies. Viir stands there undaunted, but Chihuahua tells him not to worry about him. The young master can't let injustice like this go on any longer, and he would happily die right now than to be a burden to Viir. This heartfelt speech just makes Viir laugh, since Chihuahua Short is loyal after all, but none of what he's saying is matching the look on his face right now. That clearly screams that he doesn't want to die. Viir tells him not to worry, since he left the main house, he has a trump card from Hugo, and pulls a whistle from his leg. The clown is confused on what Viir plans to do with this whistle, but Viir just blows it as hard as he can, creating a screeching sound throughout the tent. The clown is taken aback at first, but nothing appears to happen, and begins laughing at Viir. No one can stand up to the underground, but interrupting his fun is a sword plunged into the back of his neck, severing his head from his body. Chihuahua is unharmed, and it seems our boy has some backup. A lackey tries to avenge his master, but he's cut up with ease, making his blood splatter over the audience. Viir smiles, and his boys have just arrived. The people around notice the symbol on these men's chest, and Sydney recognizes it as the Baskerville's most brutal force. All 100 of these men are graduators, and it's the Pitbull Knight order, and she herself is fearing her death. A knight stands behind her, ready to end it all, but Viir stops him, saying that only this one can live. The knight backs off and kneels, but Viir orders him to kill everyone else, and only spare those who are lying down obediently. Viir thinks back to his last meeting with Hugo, and was surprised that he actually let him have this gift. The Pitbull Knight starts slaughtering everyone as people decide to get on the floor. One man asks for handcuffs, and he will happily stand by, but the Pitbulls don't carry things like that, and to make sure he doesn't run, they're just gonna cut his legs off, and that's pretty savage. Viir smiles when he sees this, since these bastards will be executed anyways, so it's not like they need their legs. Viir begins getting dressed, talking to his uncle Terrier, who seems to be the leader of this unit. We're introduced to Boston Terrier Baskerville, the commander of the Pitbull Knights, and he thinks to himself that no wonder Hugo is so interested in Viir. He's already so fierce at such a young age. He pats him on the head and tells him to join the Pitbulls, and they'll raise him properly. Viir doesn't seem interested and tells the man that he'll think about it, but Terrier is even more interested in Viir now. Some time passes and Viir wanders around the slave pens, struggling to find what he's looking for. He spots a safe and assumes that this is where all the nobles' money is being kept, and he will quote-unquote gift it to the city hall. But this isn't what Viir came here to find. He takes off a blanket covering a cage, and we see the beaten barbarian girl from before. Viir is concerned for her health, and she was beaten and dragged back here, but today is her lucky day. He pulls out a healing potion from his back pocket and puts it to her lips. She absorbs the healing effects and immediately looks as good as new, but she's startled to see Viir. She begins to get defensive, but Viir speaks in her language, telling her that she can leave. All the time he spent fighting barbarians in his past life made him pick up the language at least a little bit. He tells her to run away and opens the cage, but the girl starts rambling on in the same language. But Viir isn't fluent and has no idea what the hell she's talking about. She exits the room, but before she leaves, she has some final words, which Viir just assumes is her thanking him for saving her. Now it's time to get what he really came for and opens the corpse of the hell buffalo. It's time to reward Beelzebub. He extends him from his arm and tells the creature to eat fast. The Pitbull Knights will be here soon. We time skip to the next day and the news of Viir's achievement is spreading like wildfire. The deputy consul dealt with the criminal organization almost right as he got here, and all the nobles attending the slave auction were imprisoned or executed. And on this day, the huge illegal operation of Underdog burned down and disappeared. The heads of all the VIPs and executives were put on display, letting people know what will happen to those who don't follow the law. Viir also held the letters from the 7 major families trying to protest his actions and rip them to shreds. He already had the Baskervilles start their investigation on them, and death seems to be the only ending. After this protest from the 7 clans, they stopped and immediately all approached Viir begging for forgiveness. But Viir won't let this end here. He's already looked through all the black books and they trace back the money trail to each of the 7 families. And with accordance to the Baskerville law, all of their property will be seized, and to pay for their crimes, all members within 3 extensions of their family will be killed. With Viir as a new deputy consul, the floors of the execution grounds always had fresh blood spilling. But this was the blood of vermin who were plaguing the city. He's gained the love of the people and the crime rate was at an all-time low, and the city was thriving. Viir used the money he collected to lower taxes and his approval rating rose day after day. We shift to Viir at his desk doing some paperwork and Chihuahua brought him some coffee. Viir tells the man that he doesn't need to do that and should just focus on his job, but Chihuahua declines, saying that Viir saved his life, so it's only natural he does things like this, and asks Viir about his writing penmanship training. Viir happily asks him to check, and Chihuahua is impressed at how fluent the young master is, only recently being able to write. The old man is yet again amazed by the skills of this 15-year-old, already making such a change in a short amount of time. And if he stayed here, the city would continue to flourish. Nighttime comes and Viir is in the prison talking to Sydney, asking about her full name. She questions why she was allowed to live, but Viir playfully takes off her blindfold, saying he just wants to ask her some questions. Cindy is defensive, but Viir continues that the Baron's influence grew a lot before he died. That was because of you, right? From his research, it seems Cindy had a talent for making money, and he wants to use those skills for good instead of evil. He promises her that if she can answer his questions, she will be released, but if she doesn't, she will regret it for life. She agrees, and his first question is what her opinion is of Viir and his operation. She says he's doing great, but Viir reminds her to be honest if she wants to get out of here. She bites her lip and tells Viir that she thinks how he's handling everything is wrong, which makes Viir smile. He goes close and grabs her by the chin, asking her to explain. He backs away and Cindy begins stating her reasoning. Firstly, all the laws that he created take care of criminals and increase his approval. But in the long term, these same laws will begin to hurt his own citizens and eventually backfire. Furthermore, his own family won't be so happy once Viir gains more power than the actual clan leader of Underdog. Viir confirms that what she basically said is that he's faced with being hated by the people and being targeted by his own family. He asks for her advice and Cindy tells him to return all of the authority to the clan and even the glory of all his achievements to the clan leader. And he should lay low and go into the mountain, or to the academy in the empire, to clean his identity. And when the time comes, the current leader of the city will be the one who suffers instead. Viir unleashes some aura and asks if what the girl means to say is she's saying for the dog to bite its owner's neck. He unleashes more killing aura, but she stands firm with her beliefs. Viir eases up and thanks her for her advice, and he'll keep that in mind. Her ideas were amazing and almost identical to what he was thinking, and as promised, he frees her from the prison. Sydney asks if he really means to let her go, but Viir always keeps his promises. She goes ahead to leave, but Viir asks if she's heard of a clan called Messi Madrano. This was the 8th clan that was framed and killed, and they were once the most prosperous merchant clan. Sydney clenches her fist, and the accident that got them killed was the youngest son of the family showing off his newly learned sword skills, and accidentally showed off the secret Baskerville techniques that only the main family members were allowed to know. News spread quickly, and to keep everything under wraps, the hunting dogs were released, erasing everything to do with this 8th clan. However, someone was pulling the strings behind everything, and it was really the young kids from the 7 clans who orchestrated the event and stole the secret techniques and allowed the young child to learn them. Cindy tries to keep a straight face, asking what this has to do with her, but Viir bluntly states that there was one survivor from that clan. A 1-year-old girl survived, and the only reason she was spared was because of her beauty. But she was forced to suffer, and the acts committed on her are too foul to even speak about. Cindy has had enough of this and tries to leave, but Viir continues his story. Time passed and a new deputy arrived and punished those 7 demons. And in their torment, their last words were that they were sorry for committing such a heinous crime. Cindy wonders who they're apologizing to, with tears streaming down her eyes. But Viir says who else could it be but to the survivor of the clan that they destroyed. The girl with the fake name, Cindy Senrose. She yells at Viir, asking how she can possibly believe him. He tortured them himself. But he came prepared for this and grabs a torch, telling her she can come see it with her own eyes. He brings her to the cell where they were tortured, and with their own blood, they wrote their apologies on the walls. Cindy can't tolerate this scene and begins throwing up. Viir says that even though those young men died painful deaths, the clan she is from, the Mezimadrano clan's vengeance is not over. There is still one clan to deal with, the Baskervilles. Hate them more than you do now. Cindy questions why Viir even wants to help since he is a Baskerville, but he tells her that that's not the right question. She immediately understands because Viir is a Van, an illegitimate child. She agrees and vows to repay her debt. And whatever Viir decides to do in life, she'll make sure that he never needs to worry about money. Viir smiles and the next day comes and Chihuahua bursts into his room, but sees Viir surrounded by dead assassins, and the room covered in blood. Viir yawns and wakes up, and it seems he killed these guys in his sleep. Chihuahua is shocked, but our boy has done some crazier shit, so he should get used to it by now. He cleans up and the two walk outside, and Chihuahua asks Viir about his childhood, and he tells him about the horrible life he has lived so far. Poisoned arrows, poisoned food, acid, snipers, being run over by a cart. A lot of people have been trying to kill him ever since he was born. Viir just wonders if this is because of his actions, and if he continues this way, will he gain even more people's disdain, and they will continue to annoy him like this? He thinks about the last skill he received from absorbing the buffalo. The skill is called Tough Life, and this combined with his hardened body stopped the assassin from even penetrating his body, even as a graduator class. Viir continues his stroll and notices his family crest, and the Baskervilles seem to be here. It seems someone from the main family was sent, and the person who exits the carriage puts a deep fear into Chihuahua. The person in question is Barrymore, and I don't know why Chihuahua has such a hard-on for him, but Viir starts the conversation casually as Chihuahua watches on. Chihuahua thinks to himself that this is the head butler of the Barrymore family, and he comes from a family who's held this position for 4 generations, in a field where one mistake can lead to an entire family's extinction. Chihuahua is having a little moment, completely in awe of his superior, but Viir on the other hand gets right to the point, and he knows since he's here it must mean that Hugo sent a message. It seems Hugo is quite happy with Viir's progress and ordered him to return to the residence. We shift to this meeting and Hugo is reading an article about he's the most beloved figure and underdog who ranks first in every category and even is first in being targeted by assassins. And I just want to know who's tracking that stat, by the way. Anyways, he sits down with Viir telling him how proud he is of what he has accomplished, and Hugo wants to reward him. And as such, Viir will be sent to the Imperial Academy. Viir's eyes light up since this is the best academy in the Empire. Coliseum. This is where all the elites gather and only the children of royals attend. This is an opportunity to go stronger without Hugo breathing down his neck. Hugo plans to send more children but has yet to decide on who, and asks Viir if he has any opinion who should be sent with him. Viir thinks about it and volunteers the triplets, but in reality he only wants them to come so he can use them. Hugo allows it and asks Viir if he remembers the plan that he helped him come up with when he was 8 regarding the Morg clan. Hugo smiles and tells Viir that that plan worked. Viir wonders on what he means, but Hugo continues that the Morg clan suggested a joint raid. Hugo suggests that Viir go on a little territory inspection before going to the academy, to check if the laws he made are being upheld. Viir bows and accepts his order and exits and prepares a horse with all of his things. Chihuahua wishes him well and sees him off, telling him not to worry about Underdog. He'll hold down the fort for now. Viir looks back but doesn't say much because he knows his journey with Chihuahua is coming to an end. After a bit of traveling, Viir tells the group tailing him to show themselves, and it's none other than the Pitbull Knights, who have been ordered to escort him to the Morg clan's fortress. Viir asks if his Uncle Terrier is doing well and is told that ever since the slave auction, he has been very serious in trying to get Viir to join their order. Viir just thinks to himself that the Pitbull Knights is the last place that he ever wants to go. They approach the contested region and see many people managing the lands, but nothing seems out of the ordinary. Stafford walks alongside him, and the real goal of his inspection party wasn't to look at the citizens, but rather to get rid of the barbarians that are plaguing it. Stafford tells Viir that based on his intel, the Morg clan consists of 3 delegates, 30 lower house members, and 100 mages who aren't in the government. Meanwhile, the Baskervilles only sent Viir and a handful of knights. The real elites of the Baskervilles are waiting on standby on the other side of the mountain range. Viir thinks to himself that Hugo suggested to take a look at how the barbarians live. They continue riding and see a corpse impaled by an earth spike, and this is the Moor clan's message to the barbarians. Viir thinks that this reminds him of Camus, and she must have grown a lot by now. They approach some girls who tell them that no one can get past without their permission, and this is literally the girl version of the Moron triplets. The writer even got really creative with their names: High Sis, Middle Sis, and Low Sis, Morgs, 3 flowers. Each one of them possesses great power, and when they're together, chaos is guaranteed. Viir introduces himself as the Baskerville envoy, and they've come to inspect the territory. High Sis tells Viir that he's going to have to wait, and they'll give him a reply tomorrow. The 3 sisters have an arrogant stare, but Viir just has a headache, because it seems they don't understand their own laws. Viir has made some changes, and he can throw away tenants that he doesn't like. He will only say this one more time: open the gates. The 3 sisters start to tremble, but just like their male counterparts, they immediately try to fight Viir. One unleashes an ice spell that barely misses and yells at Viir, telling him if she says to wait, then he will wait. He cannot enter without their permission, and challenges him to see who is stronger. Stafford is worried that this problem can't be solved with words, and all of the Pitbull Knights start rallying behind Viir. These stupid girls don't know their place. Viir recognizes who just said this, and the 3 girls start yelling back at these cloaked figures. And a very annoying fight is about to happen, as the Baskerville triplets remove their hood. They each wink at Viir with incredible synergy, telling him to leave the situation to them. But me and Viir are equally disgusted at this whole situation, and his annoyance is raised to the power of 3. Viir is confused on why the triplets are standing up for him, but it turns out they want to thank him for recommending them to join the academy. Viir has a blank face because in reality he only planned to use them as sandbags, and thinks that in the future these guys will grow into murder machines, even though they are stupid and can't really think for themselves. But Viir can put them to good use if he plays his cards right. He puts trust in his brothers, and the 3 girls protest these idiots, and all 3 of the boys put up their middle finger. The fight begins, and Viir thinks that the Moor clan triplets had the ability to use water, earth, and grass attributes, and they could combine these skills through synergetic abilities, which amplified their output. Their first spell summons a sprout, and after, by combining their magic, it erupts into a huge plant, with many tentacles sprouting from it. The Baskerville triplets aren't scared though, and prepare their aura blades. They use the first fang, and Stafford is impressed, but the boys are being pushed back. The kids are in the heat of the battle, as Viir watches with Stafford, who asks if the young master is entertained. This is a clash of an age-old question of what's stronger, magic or swordsmanship. Each one uses mana in different ways, and right now they are witnessing the result of different teachings regarding mana. In reality, however, Viir is way past this level and is really bored watching this fight. He wishes all 6 of them just die so he can move on. As the fight goes on, a voice is heard and a fireball is cast, and right as Highbrow is about to lash at one of the girls, he is almost struck by the spell, and a huge explosion occurs. And Viir is so happy that he thinks all of them died, but is depressed to see that the triplets survived. The triplet girls are all crying, and they almost died in that explosion as well, and we come to see that the one who casted it is none other than Camus. She asks what's going on down here and looks down at Viir and tells the girls that she won't go easy on them for messing around in her territory. They apologize and call her big sister Camus, which makes her stare at them intently, asking why she's being called informally. They all change their tune and refer to her as Vice Fortress Captain. Camus warns the triplets to speak with respect unless they want to end up like those men that she skewered. She looks over and spots Viir, and her whole gangster attitude vanishes. She greets Viir, and it's been quite a while since they last met, almost 7 years. Viir is a little taken aback by her beauty, and this is the so-called Camus that he's heard all about. She stole the hearts of all the men in high society, but so far in this life, he hasn't heard any stories like the one in his past. Viir tells Camus to open the gates. The triplets weren't letting him in, and Camus is enraged that this is all he has to say to her after so long. Viir is just confused, and what else does he have to say? But Stafford just idly watches these 2 rising stars, and Camus gives Viir 0 points for his attitude towards his future wife. He's at 0 out of 100? Everyone is confused, and even future wife? What is she talking about? Camus and Viir are strolling through the land, and she begins the conversation stating that the Baskervilles must not know about the barbarians. Viir says that they actually know a lot since they fight them all the time. Camus says if that's the case, then why did he come with a group full of idiots? But Viir reminds her that it was agreed that the main force would be waiting on the other side of the mountain, and asks Camus why she's saying these things despite that information. She was testing him this whole time and wanted to know if he was sent here to be disregarded, but it seems he's well trusted trusted within the clan. She keeps asking questions about the Barbarian tribe, like which one is the most annoying, and two come to mind for Viir, the Balak and Rococo tribe, a warrior and sorcerer group, with skill to rival the Empire. Camus is happy with his answer and rewards him 8 points. Viir is still a little confused with his whole point system, but Camus explains that she hates intelligent men, and the more stupid a man is, the more interesting he becomes, and gives Viir 6 points for his horse riding skills and 4 points for his fashion. Viir seems even more bored than watching the triplets fight and doesn't answer. Camus gives him 1 point for mannerism, but she's a little simp and gives him 99 points for his face. He grew up to be quite the man. Viir tells her to stop this evaluation, but Camus continues that it's important for her future husband. Viir still questions why she thinks they're getting married, but Camus just asks what the hell does he mean? Because Viir passed her uncle's test 7 years ago, and that was his approval to let Viir marry Camus. Camus gets fired up, angry at her father for putting her on this path for marriage, but promises have to be kept. Even though she hates this, she has to go through with it. Viir tells her if she's really unhappy about it, she can just forget it and don't feel like you have to marry Viir, but Camus just blushes and throws something onto Viir's face. He can't just go ahead and reverse something like that, and Camus is a genius and never forgets anything. Viir wonders what she just used as a weapon against him, but it turns out to be the clothes he gave her way back when the fireball struck her in the tournament. Viir's thick-headed ass just thinks she returned it to him without washing it, but Camus just blushes. It seems she was always in love with Viir. They continued their conversation about the task at hand, and the barbarians ambushed the ruby mine and have been pillaging slaves off the citizens and captured soldiers, and they plan to sell them somewhere else. They arrive at the fortress, and the Iron Mages have built this in less than a month, and Viir is quite impressed. To be expected of the Moor clan's magicians. He sees some holes on the wall, wondering if these are the Balak clan's arrows, and Camus says it is. Their shots have aura infused in them and are very strong, and they like to raid at night. And many people have died already, protecting this mine. And thanks to these piercing arrows, even Camus's uncle suffered a chest injury. He survived, but his pride was hurt. It seems Hugo had a similar experience, and that's the reason he has a scar on his nose. Viir comments that there's an exceptional talent among the barbarians, and Camus says there is. It's a female, but with all the face paint, these people are hard to identify. Morg's soldier calls for the vice head of the fortress, urging her to come quickly. The party has captured recon members of the barbarians. We shift to the military camp, and Viir identifies this man as a Rococo sorcerer. Camus asks if they were able to extract any information, but it seems so far they've been unsuccessful. Camus wonders if they can try psychic magic, but these men have strong sorcery protecting their minds. Camus just uses the straight up method and questions him outright, but the man doesn't answer. She asks about the victims, with one being her cousin and a daughter of the Morgs. What happened to her? The barbarian smiles and begins speaking in their language. Camus asks her girl to translate, but she says that the barbarians attacked and everyone died, and their bodies were taken. She cannot translate, but Viir volunteers, saying he knows a little of their language. Camus is surprised, but Viir said he only knows a little and is influent. He reiterates what Camus asked, and the captured sorcerer smiles even harder. He tells Viir what happened to her, and Viir translates that she is dead. Camus now goes over the law regarding captured barbarians and gives the verdict as the vice head of the fortress. Instant execution. She kills the barbarian and swears that their language will only be spoken in hell. The 3 remaining barbarians start shitting their pants and might be rethinking their situation. Camus walks outside, and Viir goes to see her crying. Even though she acts tough, she is only 15 and just lost someone very close to her. She remembers Rose always used to follow her around and was a kind soul and didn't deserve to die like this. Viir tries to comfort her that she died peacefully, but Camus knows more or less what that barbarian said, and Viir didn't translate it truthfully. What he really said was, "We ate her." Camus breaks down and begins apologizing to her sister for not protecting her, and Viir tries to extend his hand, but for the first time in their story, he's unsure of what to do. She wipes away her tears because now is not the time to mourn. It's time for revenge. Viir thinks that this behavior is to be expected from the Moor clan's Iron Princess. He offers his hand and Camus moves to grab it, but a bell sound is heard. Camus stands up quickly because that sound is the signal that the barbarians are attacking. We see a squad of Balak troops riding wolves approaching with bows in hand. The talented girl in question lets off an arrow with intense aura. It flies and creates a massive hole in the wall. killing 2 mages. She talks in her language and the barbarians begin their assault, and they are indiscriminately killing everyone in sight. Viir lands on the scene and all of a sudden 2 ropes are thrown onto his neck. The barbarians think they captured a good slave and talk about a hunt for husbands, and it seems these people are trying to breed for a superior race. He apologizes that he can't be their husband and yanks them from the ropes since he's already engaged. More barbarians see this and engage Viir, and as the arrows fly, he recalls Hugo's words to not start a battle until the main force arrives. He blocks all of the incoming arrows, stunning the barbarian archers, and Camus enters the fray. She prepares a fireball in hand and kills all of them in a single spell, asking Viir what he's doing. Stop going easy on them. She curses these barbarian bastards, and Viir is a little scared because she nuked the place so easily. Camus compliments Viir. It seems that he's already a graduator, and that's to be expected of her husband. Viir tells Camus his orders from the patriarch is not to start any battles until he regroups with the main force. Camus understands and prepares her quadra casting and tells him not to get involved and she will exterminate these pests. Viir noticed how much that she improved. As she is yelling, a blow dart is fired and a needle hits her in the neck. So much for revenge. She's knocked out due to the paralyzing poison and Viir is a little disappointed. The man who got her tries to capture her, but Viir grabs the rope, telling Camus that they should retreat. Camus protests since there's still civilians to worry about, but Viir urges her to make the right decision. He can't help her, but Camus won't let her people die. Interrupting their conversation is an arrow that almost hits Viir. He looks towards the girl who shot this, worried about her power, but another assassin sneaks past him and grabs Camus. She yells out for Viir and now he's really stressed. Is this really how it ends? In the past, when Camus was a teen, she was held captive for a time, but it wasn't long until she returned after annihilating the barbarians. Since this incident, she was referred to as Queen of the Mountain. Viir ponders on what to do, but the barbarian girl pounces on him ready to strike. She attacks with her bow, throwing Viir off guard. He dodges, but she is quick with her flurry. Viir jumps back and wonders if he really needs to go all out, but a familiar voice is heard. This is the girl that he set free from the slave auction, and she told him before that they would meet again. Viir is a little taken aback, and this is how she wants to repay him? But the girl says that this has nothing to do with her problem is with the Morg clan. She mounts her wolf ready to leave, telling Viir if he wants his girlfriend back, then he should follow. Viir wonders if he should do just that and reveal his strength, but Adolf is arriving now, and is enraged at the capture of his niece. He prepares a spell, but it's too late, and the barbarians get away. Viir thinks on the situation, and the Balak clan finished the raid in 3 minutes, after the alarm was triggered. Camus is still inexperienced, so the situation got a lot worse. Adolf is panicking, and his man tells him that they retreated into the unexplored area of the mountain. Adolf knows the danger of following them, but he can't let his niece be captured. Viir says that they can still follow, and he's quite familiar with that area. Adolf grabs him by the shoulder, asking if what he's saying is true. Adolf's soldiers are nervous going into that territory that's almost like suicide. Adolf will only allow those who want to follow Viir, and thinks to himself that Viir always stood out to him. And right now, this is the only man that he can trust, and begs him to save Camus. Nighttime comes and Viir approaches the territory, the dense forest of the mountain. In this place, demon mosquitoes can suck out your bones, and thick vines carry deadly poison. A normal person wouldn't last 1 hour here in this so-called life-eating forest. However, the people in this party are not normal. We see the triplets, Stafford and Adolf accompanying Viir. Adolf asks Stafford if all the Baskerville children are like Viir, but he is told that Viir is a special case. The triplets admire the younger brother's skills and the group arrives close to the barbarian camp. Viir tells them to hold up because Balak hunters spread dry leaves around in order to hear their pursuers. They need to be careful. Adolf casts a spell to prevent Viir from making noise and tells his nephew-in-law that it's up to him now. Viir is a little taken aback by this but knows what he has to do. The barbarians are around the fire and Camus is enraged, yelling that she will kill all of them when she escapes. The barbarians are just ignoring her, which disappoints Camus, but she overheard this so-called husband hunting that they are talking about. A barbarian man comes up to Camus impressed with her physique. Having a girl like her will make everyone in the tribe jealous. Camus yells for the man to just kill her, but he doesn't understand a single word, and knows that Camus is being rebellious. He grabs her face and it seems he needs to educate this slave. But the barbarian girl from before tells Ahun to knock it off. Don't touch her slave. The man protests since he was the one who actually caught her, but the girl says if she didn't fight Viir, he would have been dead. The girl who seems to be their leader is Ayen, and Camus notices their argument, and also notices her skill for being able to go toe-to-toe with Viir. Ahun keeps going off at Ayen for being stubborn, but she is getting tired of him mouthing off, and says that he can challenge her at any time. She will always be waiting to beat his ass. Ahun gives up and says Camus is all yours, and runs off. Ayen eyes up Camus and knows that she is sure to be the next in line to be the Moor clan's leader, but she was also captured and sold by the Moor clan. Ayen kicks Camus in the shoulder and remembers that she was once saved by and given kindness. But she won't extend that same kindness to Camus. She will turn Camus into a good slave. Her daily life will be spent licking her boots. Interrupting their little speech is a huge fireball, and Adolf bursts onto the scene, charring some barbarians with his spell. He's come for revenge. Canvas is ecstatic at his arrival, and Adolf demands the return of his niece. Viir's group begins slaughtering the barbarians, but Viir is confused. Were these the same people that ambushed them? Why are they reacting this badly to an ambush? It seems there's a bigger problem in this forest. The barbarians run, cursing the mages for making so much noise late at night. Adolf orders the men to kill every single barbarian, and Camus is happy with what she's seeing. Viir sneaks behind Camus and unties her, but it seems Ayen was waiting for him. She comments on his strong physique and is impressed that he traveled so far into the forest and his level-headedness to traverse through the darkness, and also likes his passion to put his life on the line to save this girl. She won't ask about his past, but Viir passed her test. Viir is confused as he has been ever since he got into this mission, but it seems now he's in the middle of a love triangle. He can't remember who this girl is, but assumes that she's the one who scarred Hugo's nose, the Balak archer, Night Fox. Ahun hides in the bushes trying to paralyze Camus again, but Viir is one step ahead and blocks it. Ahun is stunned, but Viir won't fall for that twice. He picks up Camus and tells her they need to go. He tells Camus that the situation is getting annoying, but please bear with me for a little, while I escort you to your uncle. Camus is getting rizzed up right now, and Ayen is disappointed. She thought Viir would be hers. As Viir is running away, two barbarian females shoot arrows at him, but he blocks with his sword. Ayen draws her bow and fills the arrow with intense aura energy, wanting to get rid of her competition. She releases her strike, and right before it can get to Camus, Adolf summons a huge ice wall blocking the shot. He calls out to his niece and casts Cure Poison. He can't get all the poison out right away, so they need to go back to get her treated. Camus tells her uncle to let go of her and runs immediately into Viir's arms, stunning the old man, because he did his best too. Viir just stands there silently, but it seems Ayen also wants a taste. She wraps a rope around his neck, taking him off guard, but she's trying to pull him, but he isn't moving an inch. Just how strong is he, Ayen thinks. She yells at him, telling Viir to come obediently and just let her capture him. She doesn't have a lot of time. Viir ponders on what a Balak warrior could be so afraid of, but a menacing aura is felt, and Ayen immediately feels its presence and begins to get scared. Even Beelzebub sends warning messages to Viir. Ayen screams that she is coming, Madam Eight Legs, as a huge pillar is seen in the tree line. All the barbarians start running out of fear, and the pillar disperses into many branches, stretching out the entire area. Adolf runs in front of Camus. Is there really a monster like this hiding in the forest? Viir sweats nervously. If he remembers correctly, this is the aura of a S risk-rated monster, Madam Eight Legs. The giant spider emerges into sight and lets out an intense roar.
And that's how the first part of this manhwa ends. Well guys, if you like this video and you want a second part, comment below with the word part 2. Also subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell and like the video. But most important, leave a comment. Until the next video.